What's up, you guys? I'm Odyssey of Odyssey Eurobeat, and welcome back to another episode of Budget Controllerism. Today I'll be covering a really quick controller setup for performing in Ableton Live. Ableton handles a little bit differently from Traktor, so the setup will be different accordingly. Let's have a look at how I'm going to have these mapped out. These two will be in charge of playing deck 1 and deck 2. These will be in charge of stopping deck 1 and deck 2. These will be for soloing each deck, and this will stop scenes, and this will stop all. Ableton organizes tracks in what are called scenes, as opposed to a regular playlist from which you would load into two decks. It'll make more sense once we get into Ableton, but for now, just stop scenes, stop all. For knobs, we're going to have a volume for left, volume for right, a scene select, and this will be a tempo slider. One of the great things about Ableton is it's able to read in your files, and it will sort of automatically map them out so they can synchronize immediately with the sort of master tempo of Ableton Live, which you can manipulate with such things as a knob or a button. So let's see how that looks in Ableton Live. Alright, so here we are in Ableton Live. I already have a couple of clips loaded, so I'm going to open this up just to give us a little something to work with. And here's one of Ableton's best features. You see this word here up in the corner that says MIDI? Click on that. And as you can see, a lot of features just became blue. That means that it can be manipulated by anything that is a button, a knob, a slider, a fader, whatever you want. If you wanted to trigger just this specific clip, if you wanted to trigger whatever was in this deck selected by the scene, which is highlighted slightly lighter than the rest, you could do that. You want to control any of these things, you could use just about anything to map just about anything. So for now, a setup that I find works very well to keep things simple is we're going to need some play buttons. So we'll click on the plays here, and you can hit literally anything. I recommend a button. That's what works for me. That is what I find to be the most sensical. So let's hit one button, and then we'll do the same for the other one. We're also going to need some stops. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to hit some buttons for them. We're going to need some solos, so we're going to click on the S down here, and there. And we're going to need that stop scene, which is over here, this stop sign. And we're going to need the stop overall, which is this one up here. Bam. We also need some knobs. So what we're going to do is we're going to select these here, and just like hitting any button would get it to register on the left, we can just twitch a knob, and twitch. Come on now. It doesn't always go immediately. Let's see, we also need a scene select. So for scene select, we're going to go over to this square, which has a number in it. I'm going to click that, adjust a knob, and bam, there we go. And lastly, we're going to have some fun with the tempo. So that is in the upper left-hand corner, this 148 here, and I'm going to twitch another knob. Now, right now it defaults to 20 beats per minute to 999. In fact, for most of these, it gives us a minimum and a maximum range, which we can define. In this case, I'm going to go as low as 140 and as high as 170. To change those, you simply click on them and type what you're looking for. As well, these are going to max out at 0, because 6 decibels might be a little more than we're dealing with. So we have our knobs, we have our scene select. I do believe that's everything mapped. By the way, if you wanted to use a knob for what would usually be a button, be my guest. That is completely open to you. Alright, so we're going to pop out of MIDI mode, and we're going to play with some of the knobs so Ableton knows to sort of catch where they go. So you already have these going. The reason that I went with volumes as opposed to a crossfader, which is an option, as you can see down here, is simply just out of an economy of knobs. If you had another one, you'd be free to get that set up, which would simply be you would set this to A, you'd set this to B, and then you would assign a knob to the crossfader position, and then you'd be able to work however you like. However, with this one, I think just basic crossfading between the decks should work just fine. So let's actually get one of these rolling. Let's hit our play button for deck 1 in scene 1, in which case it would be 130 clip here. If I went to the next scene, it would be final breath. But in this case, it's 130. In fact, right now, if I was to hit play on whatever this one landed on, I mean, there's nothing in there, so it wouldn't play. But you know what? Let's move it down there. You could do it like this. In fact, you know what? Let's do something a little more like that. Yeah, so if I hit play on the left deck, it would do nothing. If I hit it on the right deck, however, it would start 170 clip. So let's do that. Oh, it's down all the way. My bad. Let's give it some volume. That much seems good. And let's get the left deck going. You'll notice it didn't start right away. That's for a specific reason. Ableton will wait until a full count of 4, or a full measure up here, before it starts to let anything else play. Oops. Adjust this knob here. As you can see, you can sort of play with the tempo however you like. It will also stop any clip going by those rules. It'll wait until it has finished another round of 4, and then it'll cut it off there. So if I was to hit the Stop Scenes button, oops, then it'll stop whatever scenes are playing there. But as you can see, this timer keeps going, so it'll wait until another set of 4 if I was to hit another one of these, like there. And then it starts again. So if we hit Stop All, everything shuts off. Everything. Yeah, that's pretty much the essentials. As you can see, the scenes make a little more sense once you actually see it in action. If you wanted to play everything in a scene, you could map everything to the master play over here. But I find that that's a little bit counterintuitive. But yes, this is one possible way to launch your tracks and perform with them in Ableton. Oh yeah, I haven't demonstrated the solo features, but those are fairly self-explanatory. The wonderful thing is you can always go back and change which buttons do what. If you have more knobs, you can change more features. You could add effects, which I'll cover in a later video. But yeah, that is a very rudimentary and basic way to get performing in Ableton Live. I do believe that's everything, so I'm Odyssey of Odyssey Eurobeat, signing out, and I'll see you next week.